Hey, what's up everybody, it's me Ish. Welcome back to another video. For those of you that are new to my channel, Just Money, I pretty much go over financial related topics such as credit, money, real estate, loans, etc. So if that's something you're into, you're going to want to definitely subscribe. But in this video, we're going to be talking about the PPP loan and how to use your PPP loan accordingly. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. Okay, so first and foremost, what is a PPP loan? PPP stands for Paycheck Protection Program. It's pretty much a business loan that's established by the United States federal government that aids small businesses, sole proprietors, independent contractors, people that are self-employed, stuff of that nature that got hit by coronavirus. And depending on what you make annually would be the amount that you qualify for. But I think for the majority, I think a lot of people got approved for like pretty much 20 grand. I did see like other numbers like 7 grand or 10 grand or 4 grand, but I think the majority of people that I've seen get approved for a PPP loan is like roughly 20K. And a lot of people were using third-party websites to apply for this PPP loan through the SBA. Two examples would be like a lot of people were using Womply or Blue Acorn. Those were two websites you can use, but I actually think you can't use Womply no more because they ran out of funds. But I think you can actually still to this day use Blue Acorn at the time of making this video. But anyways, there's two types of loans that are going around right now that are helping small businesses. One is called the EIDL loan, which is pretty much the same thing as the PPP. The only difference is that you have to pay that money back, and that loan is totally not forgivable. On the other hand, we have the PPP loan, which they're helping small businesses out, independent contractors, sole proprietors, etc. And that loan is forgivable. And I'm just going to go over some ways how to use your funds accordingly so that we can make sure that you get your PPP loan forgiven. And quick disclaimer, don't quote me on anything. Based on all the information I've seen and read and gathered, the SBA, they haven't really released a way to use your funds accordingly. They're not like really specific on their words on how to use the PPP loan accordingly. So based on everything I read, I'm just gonna go over some ways that I think that is the correct way to use your PPP loan. So let's talk about it. Okay, so the PPP loan is supposed to be used in these 4 ways right here: payroll, mortgage interest, utilities, and renting or leasing. And payroll should be the major use of your PPP. I actually read like I think about 60% of your PPP has to go towards payroll, and then like you could use the other 40% like on stuff that's related to your business. Like let's say out of 10 grand, for example, I use 10 grand as an example. If you get a PPP loan of 10 grand, then $6,000 of that has to go to payroll, and then $4,000 of that can go towards your business. For example, if you're an Uber driver or a Lyft driver or whatever, then you can use that towards gas, a car note, just stuff of that nature. And then that $6,000 you would just pay yourself out like weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, however you want to do it, but that $6,000 has to go towards payroll if you're paying yourself. And also I forgot to mention, if you're on unemployment, you should not be getting a PPP loan because you're just going to complicate things for yourself in the future. So I definitely would not want to do it. If you want a PPP loan, then get off unemployment and then apply for a PPP loan, but don't be on both because you're going to complicate matters for yourself in the future. So I definitely would not do that. And also, if you have your own business, you can use a PPP loan for payroll costs for your employees. Even if you have new employees, then that still would count for the PPP use. And even if you want to give your employee a bonus, then you can use that PPP for that as well. And also to people that have small businesses, you cannot use all of the PPP to pay your entire self out. That just like defeats the purpose of receiving the PPP because you're receiving it in order to help you with payroll costs, etc. If you do end up doing that, then you will not qualify for the whole thing to be forgiven. It will only be partially forgiven. For my self-employed people out there, you can use the PPP loan to pay yourself out. You would just claim yourself. Just use the funds accordingly and the entire PPP loan will be potentially forgivable. You won't have to pay anything back. And another thing you can use your PPP loan on is utilities, water, gas, internet, stuff of that nature, rent, stuff of that nature. You can use your PPP loan and you'll be totally fine. As long as you were making payments on those before February 15th, 2020, then there should be no problem. One of the things you can't use your PPP loan on is debt. Like if you have credit card debt, you cannot use it to cover that debt. Otherwise, you won't be eligible for your PPP loan to be forgiven. So I wouldn't do that. And if you don't use your PPP loan in any of the approved categories, then later on down the road, you're going to be charged with fraud, and you definitely don't want that on your record. So if you're going to receive a PPP loan, make sure you actually have a business, sole proprietor, independent contractor, self-employed, whatever. Make sure you're that and you use the funds accordingly. Otherwise, down the road, a lot of people are going to be charged with fraud, and that's actually what I've been seeing a lot lately. So you do not want to do that. Because when you receive a PPP loan, you're signing all these documents and you agree that you're going to use the funds accordingly. So They have your signature, they have everything, so just use the funds accordingly, guys. Definitely don't want to go to jail. Okay, so if you receive the PPP loan, what I would highly recommend is, okay, so the PPP loan is going to get transferred to one of your bank accounts, and what I would do is just open up another checking account and put all that money in that other checking account. Make sure it's a clean checking account or another bank, whatever, but just put it in an account where like nothing's there. You don't want to mix and match any money. But the reason we're putting it in there is so that way on your statements it can show everything what like you spend your money on through the statements. And if it's right there, then like you kind of don't need to track everything versus getting a receipt for every little thing versus you just having these statements. Then you just show that and it's easy because it tracks everything. So I'd highly recommend you just put it in a different checking account. And then what I would do to pay yourself out, I don't know if you guys pay yourself weekly, bi-weekly, or every month. You can do whichever, it's fine, but you have to pay yourself throughout at least an 8-week period, 8 to 24 weeks, pay yourself out. Like you can set that checking account to have a certain amount get taken out and transferred to your main checking account or other savings account or whatever. And like it's cool because it shows on the statement that the money got taken out of here and put it in there. But what I would do with that is like if you take like for an example $600 out of that every week, then make sure it's $600 every week all the way up until you're not paying yourself out anymore, because they want like specific payments, I believe, of the same thing. So yeah, for the most part, just make sure it's 60-40 again. If you receive $10,000, then $6,000 of that will go towards payroll, and then $4,000 will go towards business related things. So that's what I would recommend, because they did say 60% has to go towards payroll for it to be forgiven, and the $4,000 is just towards anything business related, whatever you need help with. And for your PPP loan to be forgiven, from what I've seen early on, I think last year, what they were doing, they had like 10 papers that you had to go over and sign for it to be forgiven, but they made it much easier to, I believe it's only one paper now. Like they're making it kind of like pretty easy for it to be forgiven. But what I would do is just whatever you like spent your money on, just keep your bank statements or whatever, because I think you have to hold on to that for like at least 6 years if they ask for it in the future. But after at least 8 weeks, then you can apply for forgiveness, and that's what I would do after the 8 weeks. You can do it after 8, 9, 10. Just make sure it's between, I believe it's, don't quote me on this, I believe it's from 8 to 24 weeks. You have that time in between to apply for forgiveness. So I would kind of just do it as quick as possible to make sure it's forgiven as quick as possible. Something like 10 weeks or something, I would apply for forgiveness to make sure that this loan is forgiven and to see if you qualify for your loan to be forgiven. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much the PPP, how to use it. I mean, don't quote me on a lot of things I said. This is from just all the stuff I've read and all the information I've gathered. So I'm just here to deliver it to you guys. But if you guys made it to the end of the video, I truly do appreciate you guys. If you guys are interested in credit, money, real estate loans, I do have other videos all on my channel if you guys are interested. And I'll go ahead and see you guys next video. If you guys made it to the end of the video, I truly do appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys next video.